So today you'll have to excuse my voice. I have a very croaky voice, but at least I have a voice today. I haven't really had one for the last couple of days. I'm going to be talking today, as long as my voice holds out, about the 3-day fast that I did last week and about oxalate dumping. I've been asked to do some more videos on oxalate dumping, so I thought I'd talk a little bit more about that. And I am also going to be talking about why I think I got sick. Hi there, my name is Sue. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I have been eating a carnivore diet for a little bit over 2 years. Now, before I get started with this video, I just want to say, I've been mentioning this in most of my videos when I remember, that I'm thinking about starting an online community. And if you are interested, I have a page on my website with a form to fill in. It just asks for your name and your email address and any comments or suggestions. The reason I'm thinking about starting a community is because it's really hard to answer people's questions and to have a discussion on YouTube. It just doesn't really work very well. So I thought if I can find a good platform that makes that easy, then and create a community, then that could be the way to go. Because I've got a lot of people that are following me now who are like me, and their carnivore journey isn't quite as smooth as they thought it was going to be, and they've got digestive issues or oxalate dumping issues and stuff that's going on that they kind of want suggestions for and answers for, or just some help. So I thought if I could create a community where there's eventually a lot of us in there who have been through all this bumpy stuff, then we could really make a difference to other people's journeys and help them with just things that work for us and suggestions, and provide a place where people can ask these questions and actually get answers for them. So if that's something that might interest you, head on to my website. I'll put the link below the video here, but I'll on the video, but I'll also pop a link below in the description below, and you can go to my website and fill that out if it's something that you'd be interested in. It's looking like it would need to be probably about $5 a month with the platform that I'm looking at, to cover costs, etc. So so if you're interested, visit my website and fill that form in. And I honestly have not been sick, haven't had any colds or flus in the last 2 years until now. So if you haven't been following my videos, I've been doing some fasting, and I had rejoined the Bella's Steak and Butter Gang. So if you're a carnivore, you know who Bella is, I'm pretty sure. And I rejoined her group 2 months ago and decided I was going to start doing some fasting again. So I was following their calendar, but then it got became a bit of a head thing for me, where I was kind of thinking a lot about food and getting a bit obsessed. So I stopped and had a 3-week break. So I had 3 weeks off fasting, and then I've just done a 72-hour fast last week. Now, 72 hours is the longest fast I think I've ever done. I think 60 is probably the longest that I've done in the past. So this went really well, apart from getting sick. Now, what happened was, on the second day of my fast, I just started getting a little bit of a runny nose and runny eyes, and I kind of thought that maybe it was just a histamine, like hay fevery type thing. I wasn't quite sure, and normally, if I'm not sure, I would take some black seed oil. That's kind of been my go-to for the last few years. But because the last time I took it on an empty stomach, I didn't want to take it because it made me feel sick. The last time I took it on an empty stomach, so I didn't take any, and I was fine. It wasn't anything major. I still worked, still saw my clients, because I really didn't think I was getting sick. I thought it was just, a bit of a runny nose, and that may be a detox type thing. I wasn't really sure. I hope the sound's going to come out with all right with this, with my voice. So the next day, which was the 3rd day of my fast, I kind of felt it. There was a little bit of irritation in my throat, but still, it wasn't anything really drastic. I mean, normally, if I get a cold or a flu or something like that, you kind of really know that you're getting it, because you kind of really feel in your throat and stuff. But that didn't happen with this. So I had a couple of clients on Friday and I saw them, and still I didn't really think I was getting sick. But then I was breaking my fast at dinner time that night, and when I broke my fast after that, it kind of really kicked in my throat. And that night, I mean, every time I sneezed or if I coughed, it felt like it was absolutely ripping my throat apart. So I knew then that I was getting sick, that I had some kind of something going on. So I started taking some black seed oil then, but of course it was a bit late by then. It does still help if you take it later, but it won't kind of stop it in its tracks, whereas if you can get it really early in the piece, it'll usually stop it in its tracks. So black seed oil has, if you don't know what it is, it's black cumin seed oil, and it's really good for boosting the immune system. It's been used in Ayurvedic medicine forever, and they refer to it as the cure for everything except death. So it's good for all sorts of things. It's been studied for weight loss and things like that as well. But I've never taken it on an ongoing basis, really. I think I did for a little bit when I first started using it, but then I stopped and I only use it now. I keep some on hand and I use it if I feel like I'm getting sick. Or I give it to other people if they're getting sick as well. So like my mum and dad when they came back from their trip overseas. So it's really beneficial for that. I do have a link to my favourite brand of black seed oil under this video if you want to go and check that out. But yeah, so the black seed oil, I've been taking it but every day, a couple of times a day, and it helps. But yeah, obviously didn't get rid of it. So the last couple of days I've had basically no voice, and today I've got a slight bit of a voice, but I have to keep having to stop and have coughing breaks, not coffee breaks, but coughing breaks, because talking makes me want to cough. I really wanted to get this video done. So I'm going to talk about why I think I got this. I mean, it's been almost 2.5 years since I've had any kind of sickness like this, and I think I know why it's happened. I also I just want to mention that I had a hair analysis test done recently, and I got the results, and I'm going to do a video, which will go up probably after this one, with talking about the results, the hair analysis results, because I had a hair analysis test done 5 years ago, and so it was quite interesting kind of comparing them. But that's another video that's coming. So through my fast, I want to talk about that first. So throughout my fast, it went really well. So the 72 hours, what I find when I'm fasting now is the first day I get a bit hungry, but then after that I just don't really get hungry. And at the end of the 72 hours, I honestly felt like I could have kept going. I may have been better off to have kept going because it might have actually got rid of this faster. I'm not really sure because, as I said, it kind of kicked in after. It really kicked in after I broke my fast and started eating. But I think the reason that I actually got this was because I hadn't been having any dairy for probably 6 weeks or so. I'd been having butter, but it was that I'd stopped eating cheese and any other dairy. And I'd stopped having that, I don't know if it was around the time that I started the fasting or a little bit before. So it was probably about 6 weeks or so. And then once I started getting into my food obsessed kind of thing and decided to have a break from the fasting, I started eating a little bit of cheese again. And what I noticed was that the cheese it caused a little bit of sinus congestion that I hadn't noticed was gone until it kind of came back. But it wasn't too bad. I noticed that one of the cheddar cheeses, the one that my husband had initially, seemed to make it worse. I had some mozzarella in the fridge that didn't seem to bother it too much. But yeah, the cheddar cheese definitely seemed to kind of kick off a little bit of congestion. But that was okay, so I wasn't eating a lot of cheese. And then I decided I was going to make a pizza base. And so I decided I was going to create my own recipe. And I did, and it turned out really well. And I'll put a link to my pizza base recipe below this. But it contained cream cheese and cottage cheese. And then, of course, it had cheddar and mozzarella on the top. So there was quite a bit of dairy in there. So we had the first pizza, the one that I made when I made that video. And then I still had half a block of cream cheese in the fridge. And so I decided to make another pizza base the day before I started my fast. And I've noticed in the past that cream cheese maybe doesn't really agree too much. It's funny, the things that I've noticed with dairy since I've been eating carnivore, that some forms of dairy affect me more than others. And the cream cheese is just something, because I was, in the early days, I was making a dessert, like a cheesecake, kind of, without a base, dessert. So just basically cream cheese, lemon juice, and erythritol. And hubby and I were having that, off and on. But I did notice that it used to sit quite heavily in my belly and just didn't make me feel really good. So we stopped having it, and we haven't had it for ages. But the cream cheese, I think, there's something about it that doesn't really sit well with me. And so when I made the pizza base, I made the first one, and I felt fine. It didn't upset my belly or anything. My nasal congestion did get worse, so mostly all this side. So when I made the second pizza base, which was probably maybe 3 or 4 days later, and as I said, it was the day before I started my fast, we had it for lunch, I really noticed that my nasal congestion got worse. And this side in particular, I remember I was quite sinusy, headachy feeling up here. And so anyway, I started my fast, and as I said, second day, got the runny nose, and my thoughts was, well, maybe my body's just kind of doing a bit of detox after having the dairy, after not having it. But I think that having that dairy has kind of undermined my immune system. So some of the things that I've noticed when I've had dairy is that it'll cause different things depending on what I have. So as I said, the cheese and the cream cheese obviously affected my sinuses and made maybe a little bit congested. But a little while back, I bought some Greek yogurt from the shop, and when I ate the Greek yogurt, the next day I had several blind pimples, and that's something else that I've noticed sometimes with some forms of dairy, is it'll give me pimples. The raw dairy, from what I've noticed, doesn't seem to cause me any problem because we were getting raw dairy for quite a long time, and I was making SIBO yogurt and L-Rootery yogurt. I have videos on my channel about that. And that didn't seem to cause me any problem, but I noticed when I made the yogurt with the organic Jersey milk that had been pasteurised, my reaction to it was maybe just a little bit different. Can't remember specifically what that was, but I think there was a difference. So I think that for me, some dairy seems to affect me more than others. And I don't know whether that's the same with other people. It seems like I can have cream, so I've been having cream in my coffee, and that doesn't seem to cause any nasal congestion or any pimples or any digestive upset. Maybe it's the amount that I have, because it's only a small amount. I might have 1 or 2 coffees in a day with a tablespoon of cream in them. So it's not a whole lot, whereas I guess if I had a lot of cream, it might be different. But it doesn't seem to bother me. But I think that the dairy is possibly the reason that I actually ended up getting sick. Because as I said, I haven't been sick for 2.5 years now. I was getting sick a lot with the mold illness from my clinic. If you haven't watched my earlier videos, I spent quite a lot of years in a building with my business in town that was really badly mold affected. And it ended up basically trashing my health. And so that's been part of my journey, is trying to recover from that. And when after I'd been in that building for 4 years, I was in there for 4 years a number of years ago, and then I had an 8-year break, and then I went back again. And I think that the mold potentially had affected me the first time, but I didn't realise it. And then when I went back in, I was just saying to hubby the other day, I think my feeling is that when I went back in there, obviously I've got more mold spores into my body, but I think that maybe my body and my immune system kind of recognised it because it affected me quite quickly when I went in there this time. And so I suspect that some of the health issues that I was having even when we were living back in Australia last time may have been from mold illness. But I just didn't know. I just didn't realise that it was that it had affected me. So when I'd been in the building for 4 years this time and realised that the mould was really affecting my health, I mean, what really made me realise was that I ended up with a cough that wouldn't go away for over a year. And that was when I decided to move my business home. And so I ended up going for acupuncture for quite a long time, weekly. And I went to an acupuncturist who did a Korean form of acupuncture that's very good for internal issues. And so he really helped me to kind of boost my immune system back up again because I was just getting sick all the time at that stage, which is unusual for me. I don't normally get sick often. I don't normally catch colds and flus and things like that. So after the acupuncture, that really helped to build things back up. And so I got sick a couple of times, probably prior to Carnivore. The last time I was actually sick was we had gone down to Wellington to the protest that we had here in New Zealand at Parliament we were protesting the vaccine mandates. And I got sick the night that we were leaving. And I don't know whether it was COVID or whatever, but I was sick for probably about a week or so, but it wasn't anything too drastic. I absolutely had worse flus. But that was the last time I was sick. So that was in February 2022. And so, yeah, it's been a long time since I got sick. And so I didn't expect to be getting sick, when this kind of started on my fast. I just kind of thought it was something else, maybe to do with my fast or having had so much dairy or whatever. So it kind of took me by surprise. It came in stealth mode. But I am getting better. I'm feeling not too bad today, but just to have this voice and cough, But this really hasn't. It's been interesting getting this because it's quite unlike colds and flus that I've had in the past because it has seemed like the symptoms have happened kind of one at a time, instead of like normally if you get a cold, you might feel it in your throat, then your nose starts running and then you get a headache and, and then there's a period of time usually where you've got all those things together and then it starts to taper off. But that's not what happened. It was like I got the runny nose and just my eyes were just a little bit runny. And then the next day that was gone. And then the next day I just had a niggly kind of thing going on in my throat. And then after I broke my fast, then my throat got really bad. And then my throat has been not too bad. It was quite bad that first night and the next morning. And then it was pretty good during the day. And then, of course, it always gets worse at night time, doesn't it? You get to kind of 4 o'clock in the afternoon and your symptoms start to get worse again. It was probably worse that first night after I broke my fast. And then it really hasn't been too bad. But yeah, my voice has been worse than it is now. So at least I can talk now, but it's just kind of very husky and catches me and makes me want to cough. So yeah, the experience with this has been very different on Carnivore compared to what it was normally prior. And I find that interesting. So it'd be interesting if I catch another one eventually one day to see whether the experience is the same. If you've had colds or flu since you've been on Carnivore, let me know what your experience is below. Do they clear up faster? Are they less intense than normal? Because that's what this kind of feels like to me. So the other thing that's happened since I did my fast, so my weight hasn't gone down with this one fast. As I said in my last video, my weight's been really stable. It's up and down by maybe a kilo, but, it's just up and down, up and down. But I got on the scales yesterday, and I've got a set of scales. I've talked about them before that measure, body fat and visceral fat and all the rest of it. And I've had them for quite a lot of years. I think I actually had them in Australia before we came back. I'm not sure. I don't think I've bought them since we've been back here. But I know since we've been back in New Zealand, my body fat on those scales has never been under 40%. When I started on Carnivore, my body fat was showing as being around 50% most of the time. Sometimes it'd be up a little bit, sometimes it'd be down a little bit, but it was kind of 49, 50, 51%. And because I remember looking at it thinking, God, I'm half fat. And my visceral fat was usually sitting around 15 or so. And so according to the book that comes with the scales, under 12 or less with your visceral fat is a healthy range. Of course, no visceral fat is ideal. But, to get down under 12, at least by normal standards, I guess, you're in a healthier kind of range. And so of late, I've been down to 12 a couple of times, but it kind of will go down to 12, then it'll go back up to 13. And so when I got on the scales yesterday, my body fat was 39% and my visceral fat was 11. And so I was quite amazed because that's the first time that they've been there that I remember since I've had those scales, or at least since I've been in New Zealand, which is 9 years. So something's changing, even though my weight hasn't gone down. And I've tried some clothes on that are been too tight for me, and there's not a whole lot of difference in those. So I'm not really sure what's going on and what's changing, but something is. The other thing that I wanted to mention in this video is oxalate dumping. And I am going to do another video talking about oxalate dumping soon. And my issue with my scalp, which I've spoken about before. But I think at the moment, because I'd stopped pretty much having any plants. I'd stopped even having the fermented veggies, stopped having any berries. I haven't been using black pepper. I've stopped having my herbal tea. And so I hadn't been having any plants for a few weeks there. And what I've been noticing is the oxalate dumping symptoms seem to be kind of more regular again. The main things that I'm getting at the moment are pain in my upper back and my shoulders. And sometimes it's quite intense. It gets really quite burny and uncomfortable up through my upper back up here. Now, I've spoken, I think, in my videos that I've had problems with my shoulders for a few years. And this shoulder in particular, this was the one that started off being a problem. And I've had a lot of work done on my shoulders to try and resolve what's been going on with them. And this shoulder has been a lot better. This one's good now. This one's been a lot better the last few weeks because I've been going to a friend that I exchanged treatments with. So she's been doing some work on it. And so it's been really good. But I noticed yesterday sitting at the computer that it had a really uncomfortable burning down in the insertion of the deltoid, which is just where the deltoid comes down and attaches to the bone, in that tendon there. It was a really achy, burny feeling yesterday when I was sitting at the computer. And so I suspect that that's oxalate as well. I think some of what's been going on with my shoulders has been due to oxalate. And so between the work that I've been getting done on them and gradually getting rid of oxalate in my body, I think that they're just gradually getting better and better. But there's still moments, obviously, where things are shifting and it causes me some pain. The other thing that I've noticed is that I've been getting randomly sore patches on my gums. I've talked before on my videos about the tartar buildup that I was getting on my teeth. So even prior to Carnivore, I was getting just constant tartar buildup on my front bottom teeth. And I'd be forever picking it off with blinking toothpicks and earring stems and whatever I could get in there to chip this tartar off. Now, when I started on the Carnivore diet, it got worse, and it was really bad. And it was just, I could put it all off, and within hours it would be back again. It was just crazy. And I've seen other people talk about this, and people have commented on my videos saying that they've had the same thing. So I really do suspect that is tartar that's causing that. Now, I had gum disease prior to Carnivore, and I don't seem to have any kind of real inflammation in my gums anymore, but my gums are still receded on my bottom teeth. I'm hoping one day that they'll sort themselves out. But what I've been finding now is that I still get a tartar build-up on my back of my front teeth, but it's not as prolific as it was. But it'll go away it might even go away for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it starts building up again, and I'm back picking it off. But what I'm finding at the moment is that I'm getting patches on my gums that get really sore. And so, like, the first one that I noticed was up here, and I was, just touching my face, and I was like, oh, God, that's really sore. And it only lasted a day or two, then it was gone. Because at first I thought it might have been to do with a tooth I had extracted up here recently, a tooth that broke. I spoke about that on a video as well. And I thought it might have been to do with that, because the gum has still been a little bit tender in patches around the extraction site. But this was really painful. Like, when I touched it, I was like, oh, that's really sore. But yeah, a day or two later, that was gone. And then a couple of days ago, down here, I had a patch, and I'm like feeling around, and it was right in front. You have the ridges on each tooth in your gum. It was one of those ridges in front of one specific tooth, but it only lasted a day, and then it was gone. And then I had another patch up here. So I'm wondering if that's oxalate that's moving as well. It's causing or contributing to the tartar buildup. And so I'm wondering if these other areas are areas where oxalate has been maybe stored and is moving. So it's really interesting, this whole oxalate dumping thing. Some people kind of poo-poo it and don't think that it's real, but for those of us who are going through it, we know it's real. So yeah, but my oxalate dumping symptoms are so much better than they were, but it's just nowadays that's kind of more pain. Like initially it was all digestive distress, diarrhea and stuff, whereas now it just tends to be more kind of transient pain. So, I'll just get, like I said, pain in my shoulders for a few days. It's probably usually only about 2 or 3 days, and then it goes away. So, but it's been fairly regular. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually having some black pepper again. Not having any teas or herbal tea or anything like that, but I have been having some black pepper on my eggs every day. And so hopefully that'll help to kind of just slow that down a bit, because it's been a bit uncomfortable and kind of been getting a little bit regular. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today and update. I am planning on doing another fast this week. I'll do either 48 or 72 hours. I thought, as I said, I think I said in my last video, I thought I might try doing these slightly longer fasts once a week and see how I go. But otherwise, if I find that I don't think that that's really working as well as I want it to, I'll go back to some alternate day fasting and try that again. So that's it. If you've got any comments or questions, pop those below. And if you like the video, of course, make sure to subscribe, like and share with anyone you think might be interested. I thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you can hear me with this croaky voice. And I'll talk to you again another day. Bye for now.